What if I told you that mental clarity, unshakable focus, and emotional resilience aren't talents you're born with? They're skills you can build. In today's video, we're diving deep into the science and strategies that can reforge your mind into a tool for unstoppable success. We'll cover cold exposure, brain optimization through nutrition, and the kind of disciplined focus that separates high performers from everyone else. If you're serious about leveling up your mind and your life, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and tap the notification bell so you never miss another deep dive into mastering your potential. Let's build something extraordinary. Starting now. You find yourself frozen once again, sitting at your desk, staring at a blank screen or an untouched page, telling yourself that you're working, even though every part of you knows that's a lie. You've skimmed the same sentence 4, 5, maybe even 10 times, and still, nothing sinks in. Your mind has started wandering. You check your phone, glance at your messages, maybe even scroll through something meaningless without realizing it. When you finally look back at your work, you feel a kind of quiet despair. The scary part? You're not even shocked anymore. This restless, fractured version of your mind, the one that can't sit still for 5 minutes without seeking a distraction, has become your default setting, and you wonder silently, when did this become normal? But I want you to pause and envision something else. Imagine a version of yourself that sits down, breathes in once, and immediately enters a deep, unbreakable rhythm. Words flow, ideas connect, tasks get finished. Not because you're motivated by fear or adrenaline, but because your mind is a disciplined, trained instrument. That level of focus isn't a fantasy. It's real, and it's closer than you think. High performers across every field, from elite athletes like Michael Jordan to anime legends like Goku, all tap into this same state of hyperfocus. They aren't superhuman. They simply remove the enemies of focus, distraction, emotional clutter, and self-doubt. Like the swordsman in Demon Slayer, who breathe and step into a total concentration state, these people have built systems that turn discipline into second nature. What looks like cold, obsessive detachment from the outside is actually something much more human and much more achievable. It's a structure, a daily system of behaviors, mindsets, and rituals that protect their energy like sacred treasure. Take AYANOKOJI from Classroom of the Elite. His mastery over his own mind isn't because he's some mystical genius. It's because he practices ruthless clarity. He cuts out what doesn't matter. He moves with intent. And every one of us, if willing to endure the discomfort of change, can replicate that in our own lives. Focus isn't a talent you're born with. It's a weapon you forge through conscious repetition. As Levi Ackerman from Attack on Titan once said, the only thing we're allowed to do is to believe that we won't regret the choice we made. In this video, you're going to dive into a science-backed system for focus, the same type of framework used by high performers to keep their attention sharp and unshakable, no matter what chaos surrounds them. This isn't about working harder, it's about working deeper. Most people will hear these ideas, nod along, and then drift back into their habits, because real change is painful and comfort is seductive. But if you choose to stay until the end, you'll walk away with something rare, a clear, actionable path to mental clarity and the discipline to actually walk it. Like Naruto chasing his dream of becoming Hokage, you won't rely on bursts of inspiration. You'll build your own system, one that carries you through doubt, fatigue, and distraction, until greatness becomes your new normal. Focus isn't something you naturally lose. It's something you unlearn over time. Your mind wasn't designed to be distracted by default. It's been programmed to be that way. Every notification you check without thinking, every endless scroll through your feed, every moment you try to multitask in a chaotic environment, it's all training your brain. Not training it to become stronger, but conditioning it to expect interruption as normal. Like a blade left to rust in the rain, your attention weakens, not because you are fundamentally broken, but because the inputs you allow into your mind corrode it. Most people blame themselves for their inability to concentrate, thinking it's a failure of character or willpower. But the truth runs deeper. Your inability to focus is the logical consequence of how your brain's filtering system, the reticular activating system, ERAS, has been molded by your habits and surroundings. Hidden deep within your brainstem, the reticular activating system is a small but powerful structure that acts like the gatekeeper of your consciousness. It decides what stimuli make it into your active awareness and what gets filtered out as background noise. It's the same system that causes you to hear your name in a crowded room or notice your favorite car model passing on a busy street. But here's the crucial mistake most people don't realize. The RAS doesn't prioritize based on true importance. It prioritizes based on familiarity. What you expose yourself to repeatedly is what it learns to elevate to your conscious mind. So when your day is filled with distractions, pop-ups, social media, and chaotic multitasking, your RAS starts to believe those things are important. It wires you to notice interruptions, to seek out dopamine hits, to abandon deep work before it even begins. The tragic irony is that the more you try to casually work with a few tabs open, the more you entrench a mind that can no longer focus. To reclaim your mind, you must reclaim your environment. When you sit down to work, your physical space should reflect a single mission, nothing else. Remove every object that doesn't serve your immediate goal. Close every app and every browser window that isn't directly related to your task. Put your phone out of reach, out of sight, maybe even in another room if necessary. Think of it like how Rock Lee from Naruto trains. When he wants to move faster, he removes his weighted training gear. Likewise, you must shed the unnecessary weights on your attention. Create a workspace that signals to your brain, here, we do only one thing. Over time, your RAS will adapt. It will start to prioritize depth over noise. It will start to see focus as familiar and distraction as alien. This isn't about superhuman discipline. It's about rewiring what feels normal. Noise is a particularly insidious enemy. Even when you think you've tuned it out, your subconscious mind is still digesting every sound. Conversations, footsteps, passing cars, distant sirens. This low-level sensory assault burns through your cognitive resources, fragmenting your energy before you even realize it. If you can't eliminate noise entirely, find ways to mask it. Use brown noise, white noise, a simple fan, or even earplugs. Small changes make a massive difference. Face a blank wall instead of a window. Dim your lighting slightly. These aren't just aesthetic tweaks. They are practical strategies for survival in a world that weaponizes your attention against you. The less sensory data your mind must constantly sort through, the more horsepower it can devote to real thinking, creation, and mastery. As Roronoa Zoro from One Piece once said, "Only one thing matters, the path I chose to walk." Your job is to clear that path, and then walk it with everything you have. Even in total silence, your mind can sometimes feel louder than any crowded room. You can sit down, determined to focus, and yet find yourself mentally ricocheting between 1,000 unfinished tasks, unanswered messages, and half-processed conversations. It's as if the chaos isn't outside anymore. It's inside you. This is mental clutter, the hidden storm you carry into every project, every attempt at deep work. It doesn't matter how quiet your surroundings are if the noise inside your mind is deafening. You sit down intending to be present, but your awareness splinters under the weight of unresolved thoughts. Like an overloaded ship taking on water, your cognitive system struggles to stay afloat. And this isn't because you're weak, it's simply how the brain is built. Cognitive load theory offers powerful insight into why this happens. Your working memory, the mental space where you hold and manipulate information in real time, is inherently limited. It can only handle a certain number of active elements at once before performance starts to collapse. Every lingering task, every unfinished obligation, every personal drama occupies a portion of that space, whether you realize it or not. Even small worries act like background programs siphoning off your mental RAM. And here's the kicker. The human mind despises open loops, incomplete thoughts, unresolved problems, things left hanging. It compulsively reactivates them, dragging them back into your attention even when you're trying to focus on something else. It's like trying to run a race with invisible weights tied to your ankles. The solution isn't to grit your teeth and try harder. It's to strategically unload the clutter before it crushes you. One of the simplest, yet most profound practices is a 2-minute brain dump. Before diving into focused work, set a timer, grab a notebook or open a blank document, and purge everything swirling in your head. No censorship, no organization. Just raw, unfiltered extraction. It doesn't need to be elegant. You're not writing a masterpiece. You're building a clearing. List every task, every annoyance, every idea you're afraid you might forget. By externalizing the chaos, you signal to your brain that the information is safely stored, and doesn't need to be held in working memory anymore. Like unburdening a pack before climbing a mountain, you immediately create more capacity for the climb ahead. Once you experience that subtle quiet, that sudden spaciousness inside your mind, you'll realize just how much noise you had been carrying without noticing. And this is where the real opportunity lies. With that clarity, you can finally direct your mental energy toward building something meaningful. Whether that's launching your own project, creating art, starting a business, or leveling up your personal growth, the foundation is the same: a mind capable of sustained attention. Think of Edward Elric from Full Metal Alchemist, Brotherhood, who reminds us, a lesson without pain is meaningless. The discomfort of confronting your mental clutter is the price of entering a higher tier of performance. Once you master the ability to clear the decks before battle, you step into a rare class of people: the builders, the creators, the warriors who know that the first victory must always be over oneself. Just like an elite sprinter wouldn't launch into a race without properly warming up, you can't expect your mind to dive straight into deep work without priming it first. High-level performance, whether physical or cognitive, always demands preparation. One of the most powerful and often overlooked ways to prepare your brain for focus is through sound, specifically auditory stimulation that synchronizes with your brain's natural rhythms. Research in neuroscience suggests that certain frequencies, particularly around 40 Hz binaural beats, can increase the presence of critical neurotransmitters like dopamine and acetylcholine. These chemicals are essential for locking in attention, sharpening clarity, and sustaining effort over long periods. Just 5 minutes of listening to carefully tuned frequencies before a work session can elevate your brain into a more optimal state, not by relying on brute willpower, but by working with your biology instead of against it. It's the mental equivalent of stretching before you sprint. But priming the mind isn't just about what you hear. It's also profoundly tied to what you see and where you choose to place your gaze. Your visual focus and your mental focus are deeply interconnected. In fact, when your eyes wander, your thoughts usually follow close behind. This simple but crucial link means you can physically train your attention by controlling your gaze. A powerful exercise is to pick a single point in your environment: a spot on the wall, an object on your desk, the center of your computer screen, and fix your eyes on it for 1 to 3 minutes. It sounds almost too simple, but don't underestimate it. Each time your mind drifts and you pull it back to the anchor, you're strengthening your neural circuitry for focus. Much like Goku from Dragon Ball training under heavy gravity to enhance his strength, each repetition builds unseen power. Over time, you'll notice that the act of focusing and returning after distraction becomes quicker, sharper, more automatic. Yet even a perfectly primed mind cannot maintain relentless concentration for hours on end. The myth that you should be able to sit down for 6 or 7 straight hours of uninterrupted deep work is not only unrealistic, it's fundamentally misaligned with how your brain is biologically wired. Human cognition operates on what's called ultradian rhythms, natural cycles of heightened energy and focus that last about 90 minutes, followed by a mandatory dip where your system demands recovery. Fighting against this rhythm is like swimming upstream. Instead, true mastery comes from building your schedule around it. Before each focused 90-minute session, pause for a moment to mentally define your goal. What exactly are you trying to accomplish? What will success look like at the end? Speaking this objective aloud, even quietly, acts as a signal to your mind that it's time to enter a different mode. Then, for those next 90 minutes, you devote yourself fully, cutting through the noise with clarity and purpose. When that 90-minute window closes and you feel your attention beginning to unravel, that's not a failure. It's a biological cue that it's time to recover. And here's where most people sabotage their progress without realizing it. They fill their recovery time with more stimulation. Scrolling through social media, watching videos, absorbing new information, all of these things prevent true cognitive recovery. Real recovery happens in the absence of input. You must step away. Look out a window. Take a slow walk outside. Lie down with your eyes closed. Let your mind wander freely, without trying to grasp onto thoughts or force new ideas. This is not wasted time, it's an investment. If you complete just 2 or 3 true cycles per day, 90 minutes on, 20 minutes off, you'll discover something extraordinary. Your total daily output will skyrocket, not because you pushed harder, but because you finally started flowing with the brain's natural design. As Levi Ackerman from Attack on Titan says, "The only thing we're allowed to do is to believe that we won't regret the choice we made. Choose to work in harmony with your mind, and the results will speak louder than any forced grind ever could." Training your mind to stay steady when stress hits isn't a matter of hoping or wishing, it's a practice, just like training a muscle. One of the most powerful and underrated methods for this kind of behavioral recalibration is cold exposure. At first glance, standing under freezing water might seem like a purely physical challenge, but the real battle is neurological. When you step into a cold shower or finish a warm one with a brutal 30 seconds of icy water, your nervous system immediately floods with norepinephrine, a chemical linked to heightened alertness, enhanced focus, and increased mental clarity. It's a full system reset, but the real magic happens with repetition. Regular cold exposure gradually reshapes how your brain responds to stress. Over time, it tones down the hyperactivity of your amygdala, the part of your brain responsible for triggering panic and emotional overreactions. This means you're not just training to withstand a few uncomfortable moments. You're recalibrating your baseline emotional resilience. Imagine moving through life less reactive, less rattled by chaos, like Itachi Uchiha from Naruto, whose calm under pressure made him almost untouchable. That state of mind is not fantasy, it's trained. Now imagine harnessing that composure and bringing it into your work sessions, into your studies, into any arena where mental sharpness matters. A cold shower before an important task doesn't just wake you up, it sets a tone. Your mind becomes quieter. Distractions lose their pull. Impulses that once seemed overwhelming start to feel small, manageable. You are not just motivated for a moment, you are forged for focus. It's the difference between trying to white-knuckle your way through difficult tasks and walking in with the internal stillness of someone who already knows they can endure whatever discomfort lies ahead. Kenshin Himura from Rurouni Kenshin once said, "The stronger you become, the gentler you will be." That gentleness toward chaos, earned through controlled exposure to discomfort, is the foundation of high performance in the real world. Of course, mental endurance doesn't just come from stress training. It's also built, molecule by molecule, through what you feed your body. You can't expect your brain to function like a finely tuned supercomputer if you're fueling it like a junkyard engine. Optimal cognitive performance starts with targeted nutrition. At the core of sustained attention and drive is dopamine, and one of the simplest ways to support your brain's dopamine system is through diet. Foods rich in tyrosine, such as eggs, lean meats, cheeses, and almonds, serve as the raw materials your brain needs to manufacture dopamine effectively. Pairing these foods with a moderate or low-carbohydrate diet stabilizes blood sugar, avoiding the wild swings that crash your energy and your mood. If you want to push clarity even further, intermittent fasting, especially in the mornings, can keep your system in a heightened, alert state longer, sharpening focus before digestion begins to slow you down. But food alone isn't always enough, especially if you are living at the edges of your mental limits. That's where smart supplementation enters the picture. Omega-3 fatty acids, particularly the EPA form, are critical for maintaining brain health, improving attention span, and boosting emotional resilience. A consistent daily dose between 1 to 3 grams can make a noticeable difference over time. Creatine monohydrate, often thought of only for physical strength, is another secret weapon. It fuels the brain's energy system at the cellular level, leading to faster thinking, sharper memory, and greater mental stamina during long work blocks. And of course, there's caffeine, perhaps the most widely used nootropic in the world. Used carefully, between 100 to 400 milligrams depending on your size and sensitivity, it can kickstart dopamine production and create a sharp, energized focus. However, the key is balance. When paired with L-theanine, an amino acid from green tea, caffeine's jittery edge softens into a smoother, calmer alertness, making focus more sustainable. Like Guts from Berserk, whose strength was born from discipline, not rage, your cognitive energy must be carefully trained and supported, not left to chance.